Welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports A to Z with Alex Busch and Drew Zlogar. We're going to get into the NFL draft, recap from our teams and all around the NFL draft this year. Gronk's moved to Tampa Bay with Brady, and episodes 3 and 4 of The Last Dance that premiered on Sunday. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Talking Sports A and Z, our second episode here. I'm Alex Busch along here with Drew Zlogar. How's it going today?
Good, man. Excited to be back. I didn't expect that we'd make it to episode 2, so we're obviously doing something right. But it was good, man. NFL draft was a ton of fun. Actually, was above the expectations that I kind of set for it. I know we're about to get into it, but it was a good weekend of sports, ending with the episodes 3 and 4 of that MJ doc. I think it keeps getting better. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to just kind of dive into that NFL draft because I think both of our teams benefited greatly from it. I'm a Jets fan, you're a Bills fan. Where would you like to start? Because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we can just start. Let's just start with the draft because this is like, we've all watched so many different drafts, and this is just unprecedented having it in, running out of Connecticut / Goodell's basement / the basement of every player, owner, GM, coach, etc. Like, it was just weird for me, but I think that honestly, like when you think back on it, it was kind of cool because we almost got more access when everyone's not in the same room because you're seeing, Bill Belichick's dog sitting at the computer, or the mess that was going on at Vrabel's house, and just things like that. It's kind of cool. I don't know what your thoughts are, but it was kind of cool to see inside.
No, I mean, I think I agree. In some way, I agree with that statement. I thought it was cool to see even the differences. Like you brought up Belichick, kind of just in like a dated looking dining room. Like he's one of the best coaches ever, clearly rich as hell, but like he's in almost like a modest little like living room with his little dog, and he has like one.
It was like his. I think it was his cottage house in Nantucket. They said it looks like something that you could see just like any of your family friends having like a house in like Cape Cod.
Totally,
literally.
And he's the most decorated NFL coach ever, and he had like one laptop and another shared screen, and that's it. But then comparatively, you bring it over to like Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona in his like absolute bachelor pad. He's dressed to the nines, like the turf outside in his backyard. Like I thought that was a cool kind of next level experience from a fan perspective to see these guys from market to market like deal with the draft. I know a couple things like Joe Judge in his like back room. There was like one little lamp. It looked so sketchy. I'm like, dude, have you even move in yet? Like, I know you're new to the area, but like it literally looked like he was in like a warehouse room. That was crazy to see.
It was interesting. Like the coaches and the GMs were interesting. Also the players, the CD Lamb stealing the burner phone was hilarious.
Unbelievable.
Just things like that was cracking me up. I think the funniest thing of all time, my dad and I were watching, I believe it was the second round when this happened, when they went to Bill Belichick and his dog sitting on the thing. And that was Bill doing that because somehow the guy who never talks outside of this voice is actually funny. So
he knows what he's doing.
But it's also the draft. When has Bill actually cared about the draft? So
totally. Yeah, right. Bill has a different perspective on the draft for sure than a lot of other coaches, but he was totally doing that to get us, the common fan, to be like the best coach ever, and he's just, his dog is sitting in place for him, and he gave him the little
Bill Belichick, and you see his dog sitting on the chair in front of the computer.
It was crazy.
That was amazing.
How did you like barring another pandemic, this won't be the norm moving forward. How did you like though the cameras inside each of the draftees in the first couple rounds in the homes? Because personally, there was nothing we could do. This was the cards that we were dealt, and we had to make do with what we had. But it totally lacked the excitement,
Yeah, it
the
wasn't the same.
like seeing these players in like sweats. A lot of these guys didn't even like care to dress up, and frankly, I wouldn't either. But like, it definitely took away from that experience overall. But it was cool from a coach's perspective and things to see that second level. But I didn't care for, quite frankly, at all the individualized cameras, just because it didn't bring any pop whatsoever.
So I thought it was cool to see inside the whole thing maybe once or twice, but then once it happened, you're like, okay, this is not the moment you want. Like Joe gets picked first overall, and like, normally you'd be like pumped, maybe like very
They're holding
emotional
the
in front of the whole thing,
jerseys,
and
the
it's just
crowd.
him and his dad and his mom, and like I'm sure other people were in the other room, but like still, it's not the same, and like you don't get to hear from every person. You get a couple interviews here and there. Um, just seeing like when they're flashing back to guys, who I'm probably gonna bring up, but one of the coolest past ones was when Johnny gets drafted and throws the money hands in the sign. It's just like things like that like people like get so pumped in front of the crowd, and it's really cool. And it's
Totally.
now you're like obviously like all those people are watching, but you're also sitting on your couch.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like we already alluded to, like there was nothing that the NFL could have done.
No, it's a situation we're at,
How did you think Mr. Robot, I mean Roger Goodell did?
dude. At first I was like, okay, like maybe he's got some personality. He's throwing in some jokes. He's like, and then he's just become a robot. He's pronouncing half of the names wrong that
I
are
don't know.
spelled out phonetically.
I truly don't know where to start with him, but I will start with the amount of position errors that he had. Alex Busch out of Florida, cornerback, and then his graphic comes up, and Alex Busch is actually like a defensive end. And I'm like, dude, it is literally on your card, or even worse, your card who should have just read exactly what the stat is, you filled it out incorrectly. So either way, it's an embarrassingly bad mistake, and he did it like 5 times in that first round.
Also, like this kind of draft, it's going to be awkward just because it's like not in person. But how awkward was him walking up to the recorded fans every time, be like, "Oh, skull! Like, go Bills Mafia!" It was like so weird.
And dude, he was losing his like oomph to it by the pick.
Oh,
Like
dude, he started sitting down. He was like, at the end of the draft, he's just like laying down on his couch.
yeah, and he would like turn back and he'd be like, "Come on, Chargers fans, your pick is in." And it was just like, oh my
Acting like
God.
he's tipping them the pick when they're clearly either recorded or if they're on Zoom or whatever, that the camera's not there. It's a TV.
Right. And it just the little like, "Come on, guys, I can't hear you." It was just so corny. I'm like, dude, like,
Also, wait, we have to get to this. His basement, dude. He's worth how much money?
and it, yeah,
That's his
no,
basement. It looks like my uncle's basement. Like it's just a normal person's basement with like one TV. Maybe there were two, but I was like, he's like, this is where I sit down and watch football, and you're like,
here are my
this is what you got out of all this money.
yeah,
It
he was
looks
like,
like it's from the '80s too, with just a TV in the middle. That's nice. Like,
he freaking he brings up his like M&M jar.
and it was gone. But it was gone like 3 hours in. You see that there's like 10 M&Ms left.
You're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like
it's just like,
that was his little sign of like, I like candy. I don't know, man.
oh.
He was brutal, but in
I
general,
found it so funny though. I was just laughing. Like some people are like, "Oh my god, like I hate him." Blah blah. I'm just like, this is hilarious.
no, it was so funny, but it was cool to see that the ratings were super high.
Yeah, but like, think of how skewed that is. All the
Oh,
people that would have
totally.
been at
But
the
like,
draft are all watching. So
oh no, it was just cool that it
if you
actually.
take any draft ratings and add it with like the attendance, it's probably pretty similar to what you got last.
That, yeah, it's a good point.
But it was good. And the thing that I think that is the best is just like, dude, we've been missing sports so much, and it's ridiculous. And like, just to have, I know it's not live sports, but it's like something like that everyone can follow. And don't get on me because I'm not talking about the WNBA draft. I'm talking about the NFL draft because so many people love the NFL. Um, and it was just like, sports Twitter was back together, kind of like what happened with the first Last Dance night, but like everyone's back together virtually, and it's
But
just cool to see. Because
no, it's not at all. Like Adam Schefter putting out that tweet, like in the first time in over a year, like there will be like a sports draft. He
Mhm.
totally fucked up because the WNBA had a draft, but like I think you're right. In a way, there's
But it's
24/7,
numbers of people that watch the
360.
NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, numbers of people watching, but just the chatter of the NFL from a media
Yep.
perspective. NFL Live and shows go throughout the entire offseason. During the WNBA offseason, it's dormant. Like
Yeah.
no one talks about the WNBA unless it's season. So
Or something happens.
yeah, so definitely Adam Schefter messed up on that tweet, but
Oh,
like
he did mess up on that tweet, but I was just trying to say like it's a different beast when it comes to the NFL, and
100%.
so many
Yeah.
people follow it that it was just like a whole different atmosphere, whether it's
You know
virtual.
what? I found myself so much more invested into this year's draft. Like I was looking at all the mocks weeks leading up to it. I was reading all these, like I'm a Jets fan, obviously, so like all these Jets beat reporters. I was reading all of their analysis and kind of their takes on what they wanted to see. I think this was the first draft in a while that I was definitely the most invested into this draft because, frankly, we don't have shit to do. But
Yeah.
I liked it from my perspective. Like I was reading a shit ton, not just about Mekhi Becton in our first round, but like learning about our third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks. It was I felt much more invested this year.
Yeah, and I think that's just because we have so much time and there's not, games going on every night. Like, there's not NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs right now. Uh,
Right.
so it's like there's just not as much going on and everyone's all invested. I felt the same way. And for a Bills team that didn't even have a pick in the first round, I was just invested in the draft overall. I've, ties just from where I went to college. That's where Joe Burrow grew up, and it's just cool to see him go first overall after kind of like being on a, seeing I saw a few of his high school games. It's just kind of cool. But like just the draft overall, I was more invested. I was reading all different things, and how excited I was to see just live memes coming back. It was so great. Just Roger Goodell and the stupid crap. The CD Lamb stealing the phone
Oh
from
my
his
God.
girl next to him, who apparently dated Trey Young. This is
I
just it was
saw that,
incredible.
man. She had a bad night. That was a bad night to be a part of the media when you already had a history with an athlete.
At the same school.
Literally, man. Oh my gosh. So
Uh,
what were your biggest takeaways? Like, so maybe in that first round, the Bills didn't have a selection. When you were watching, what were some of the things that you stood out, maybe good or bad?
Well, as a degenerate, I had a lot of gamble. I gambled a lot, so I had a lot of bets on the line. So I came out huge when I picked Ruggs to be the first wide receiver. So I was so excited, and I
Oh,
picked him.
nice.
I picked him to go to Oakland, which was just cash money right there. It was awesome. I was
Now
obviously.
that pick, before you go any further, that pick kind of got some scrutiny to it, and like they got kind of creamed. How do you feel he'll fit, being kind
I,
of that?
I mean, dude, the dude's just fast as hell. I mean, you see it, and I think that like just from the podcasts and written stuff that I've been reading going up to it, just how everyone thought Ruggs was so underrated. Like some teams gonna pop and get him, and they did. I'm surprised the teams took a while to get wide receivers, but I'm so happy I picked him to be the first first pick because he was. And once he was picked, they all went quick. So
Yeah, it was boom
um,
boom after
one of
that.
my good buddies in New York, you've probably met him, PJ. Shout out. He's a Cowboys fan. He's from Dallas. He lives in Dallas, or his family's from Dallas, and he went to OU, Oklahoma. So
Sweet.
so he's pumped beyond belief seeing Lamb go to the Cowboys. Just riffing off that wide receiver talk, but yeah, I was interested to see quarterbacks. I thought that there was a chance Herbert might go before Tua, which would have been nuts. And I think it had a really good chance of happening, and it didn't, which was interesting. I was watching, obviously, the division, that the Bills are playing in. Tua now in the division, and you got Becton over in the Jets, and he's a freaking monster. And the Patriots did nothing, which is great. But yeah, I was interested in a lot, and it was just it was fun, but not stressful on day one for a Bills fan, which hasn't happened in years. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that must have been a unique feeling not having that first round pick. But like you said in the first episode, getting Stephon Diggs is just as good, if not better, than a first round pick. So
well,
you
now you have validation because that pick went to Jefferson. So if Justin Jefferson, would you rather right now have Jefferson or Diggs? I mean, I know where you're going. So that was
right.
great. Obviously, they trade away more than the first round pick, but that when you think about it, that's really what you kind of
That's the comparative. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the comparison.
totally.
So
No, I mean, from a Jets perspective, I loved, frankly, the entire draft, but definitely our first pick.
mhm.
Um, it was interesting to see how those first 10 picks before us were going. There were no trades.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, there were no trades to
uh,
start out.
the fact that Andrew Thomas was the first offensive lineman off the board, I thought he was going to be a guy that was going to really be available for the Jets at 11. I didn't think that.
Surprised that Wills and Wirfs dropped so far.
Yeah, to be
I had
honest,
Wirfs as the first offensive lineman, did not win that.
I had Wills, but like the fact that even Wills didn't go until 10, and Simmons, I think wildly was considered a top 3 or 4 overall talent. He drops all the way to 8. So there were definitely some kind of shocks and shakeups from what I was expecting. But the fact that Becton fell to the Jets, I mean, you'll have the doubters that are saying like he's too big, like he's physically
You're
like
always gonna have that when you're that
too
big of a person.
powerful. And I think that is kind of bullshit. I looked into him and the energy that he's given off of since being drafted. He seems like a really good dude, and he seems like he has his head on straight enough that he doesn't seem like an alarming guy. And
Mhm.
the Louisville coaching staff that kind of talked about him was just like he was a grinder. Um, and so I loved that pick. Um,
Yeah,
I
that
think
was awesome.
I think Denver did really well. I'm kind of a fan of Drew Lock. I think he kind of has some swag to him. I think
I don't
he's
know
good
about the
enough that I
10.
want to see him try. So the fact that they got Judy, I thought that was a big pickup.
Oh yeah, I mean all those top like 3 or 4 wide receivers are just gonna be nasty. It's
Yeah.
cool to see. Um, but yeah,
Dallas kind of getting richer. The fact that they have all those weapons and they still got CeeDee Lamb, like what the hell?
yeah, but Dak still has to perform. I mean, I know that Dak is like his passing yards are top 10, 15 every year, but he's still so overrated. And maybe he'll prove his worth this year because their offense is kind of nasty now.
Right.
So
So let's go to day 2. Goodell got even worse, and but the
he
fun
started changing clothes mid draft.
thing, literally between
He
picks,
had a
going,
jacket on, then he had a sweater on. Like 30 minutes later, he's
yeah,
sitting in
dude,
his chair.
what's happening? Yeah, but good thing is that the Bills had a pick, so you guys started to get busy with your draft. Kind of share your thoughts on the picks that you got, maybe the premier picks, first and foremost, and how you think that they're going to fit.
So I'm actually looking this up because my whole thought was they're going to draft a running back to be with Singletary. So you go into the second round. There's a running back picked at the end of the first. Then Swift is picked
Right.
at 35. Then Taylor at 41. I'm starting to be like, oh, there's not going to be anyone. Then no one goes till Akers at 52, and the Bills are 2 away. So I'm like, okay, they're going to pick J.K. Dobbins, right? Like they got it. He's nasty. He's going to be a change of pace back. Uh,
Right.
he's going to be perfect. But then they don't. They go Ebenezer. I got to learn how to pronounce his name, but out of Iowa, the end out of Iowa, and it's going to be really cool to have another pass rusher like that. The thing is, when you think about it, they had Shaq Lawson on the last year of his contract last year. He played really well, but the thing is, are you going to pay him the amount he wants, which is some like a $30 million deal, or are you going to get a rookie in the draft and try to develop him? And that's where they went the option because they're spending so much money on other, skilled position and secondary. They had to pay Jordan Poyer. They're going to have to pay Hyde and Trey White next year. So they're really trying to save some money where they can, and I think developing a rookie is going to be good. Seems like he's kind of a beast. The cool thing is his first career sack was against Josh Allen in college.
Oh wow!
So they had the Bills actually tweeted a video of that. It's like, I hope that's the only time. So yeah,
that's actually
so
awesome.
Josh already knows him, which is cool.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, they.
I mean, he was first round grade.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's first round grade, but there's just people that don't see the potential, and
right.
I gotta watch more of his highlights. I watched a few of them and read up on him a little bit, but that's good to have a guy like that in the division that's getting new quarterbacks and new offensive weapons. So, yeah, I'm happy about that. That second round pick, and they went and got a running back in the third round. So, and then got a backup quarterback out of nowhere in the fourth, where Fromm was kind of falling, and they said, why not grab him now and develop him? So it seems like him and Josh are already talking, and they're trying to get together when they can soon. So, I know I'm just rambling about this, but like my thought, I was talking to this earlier, is Matt Barkley is a solid locker room guy, a veteran, but I don't like, after watching him come in relief or play against the Jets week 17 last year.
Right.
Just games like that make me realize I don't know if I want to like trust him if Josh were to get injured, and Josh is definitely prone to injury when it comes to his style play. So having someone that can develop into that backup, I don't know if they'll keep 2 or 3 guys, but can develop into that backup, which would be awesome. But I do think Barkley's still big to that room to be a leader.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think my favorite pick for you guys was that running back. Singletary's solid, but I feel like he's more of a bruiser. And that guy from Utah, I think Zach Moss.
Yeah, Zach Moss. I'm actually pulling up a stat that my friend tweeted today.
He's solid, and to get him
kind of a beast, which is good.
Yeah, so I thought that was solid for you guys. I was pretty pleased with the Jets selections in those middle rounds. We desperately, I think the first 2 things that were first and foremost on our board was getting a big offensive lineman and then getting a playmaker on the outside. And unfortunately, like boom, 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 in that first couple picks of the second round, it was like Pittman went to Indianapolis, T. Higgins went to Cincy, like
Claypool went to Pittsburgh.
Claypool.
I only know that because he's my guy. I love him.
But they were all high up on those wide receiver boards, so I was actually kind of feeling the heat of like, oh no, the Jets, they need to get somebody, and the fact that Denzel Mims fell to them,
and he's kind of like a beast. Like,
yeah, dude, he's almost.
I could have seen him going at the end of the first round or in the end of the middle of the third round. Like,
yeah,
just so unknown, but
to get him at like the middle of that second round, I thought was good. He's like a tick under 6'4", 210 pounds. Mm-hmm. And from what Matt Rule and that Baylor coaching staff is saying, he's solid. Like he's a grinder. He learns on the fly, and he like is receptive to coaching. So I thought he was a really good get for a position that we definitely needed an upgrade at. So I was pleased with that. And then the other pick that I was pumped about was Bryce Hall, the cornerback in round 5. I know nothing about him. Shout out to Bryce Hall. I'm hoping good things for you. But from everything that I read post-draft, Bryce Hall was like a round 3 draft grade guy. So the fact that we're adding some tools and some weapons in that defensive backfield that late in the draft was just good to see, that we were staying like serious and invested all the way through.
Yeah. I think just after this draft, this division is going to be so up in the air. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be because my thought on Miami is that they have no offense outside of Tua, which is kind of, well, we'll see, because they did make a couple moves, but they stacked up on their defense is my thing. And I don't know how they're going to turn out. And then, We're talking about the
Miami's
Bills, but the Patriots could go, dude. They're going to be starting Stidham if they do, and they could win what 6 games.
yeah. Belichick is too good. The Patriots won't ever go like 2-14.
That's
But
the thing, though. Everyone's like, "Oh, they're just gonna tank and get Trevor Lawrence now." But I'm like, how are they gonna get Trevor Lawrence? No matter what his team is, they're not getting like 2, 3 wins.
right, and I think the way that the Patriots could still end up getting a Justin Fields or Trevor next year is that the teams at the top of the draft outside of maybe Jacksonville won't really need a quarterback. That's kind of where I see that New England could actually get it. But for
Just
this
shutting down, yeah.
but for this year, I think it really depends on how Tua performs. But I think it would be you guys leading the charge probably for potential winning the division. But I look at like a full season of a healthy Darnold. I'm cautiously optimistic. I have 25 years of kind of getting my heart ripped out of me every season. So I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, like we're going to win it. But the fact that we're entering a season that we all actually have like a fighting chance,
Everyone's going to be competitive.
it's so good to feel that.
And so, like, we'll get more into Darnold in a few weeks because I actually want to pick your brain. I'm curious what your thoughts are on him. But
Yeah.
this is going to be a huge year for him
Yep.
because of the doubts of everyone. And, he's, I've just from what I've watched, I've seen his inconsistency, but he does have
Right.
that side. And if you build around him, you really don't know what's going to happen. So, it's crazy that everyone's going to be pretty competitive this year in the AFC East, and that hasn't been a thing for years. So I'm excited.
I can't wait either. I guess last thing, if you had to pick a rookie of the year, who would you take right now?
Oh God,
That's a lot. That's a loaded question. There's a ton of good guys.
you know, I don't know. So I think a very good potential could be CeeDee Lamb for Rookie of the Year because he's going to be in the offense and have a lot of opportunity, but also, he's not going to be their go-to only guy. So you don't know because of all their talent, but I think that he has a potential to be on that. And the fact that the Cowboys are the Cowboys and they're always on national TV and they're always, whether they screw up or do well, they're always in the media and the news. So if he has a good season, it's going to be elevated. So
Disclaimer, there's an offensive rookie of the year and defensive, right?
yeah, yes,
Cool.
there's offensive and defense.
So I think Chase Young is solidified.
Chase Young is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think Chase Young, if he performs anywhere near what it looks like he'll be capable of, he'll lock up the defensive rookie of the year. But that offensive rookie of the year is it's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I think CeeDee Lamb, it could be really solid. He would probably
yeah. So I wanna no, I don't want to go into
unfortunately, if you're locking that in, are you locking in CeeDee Lamb?
No, I'm not locking anyone in yet. There's just so many guys that could. It's just such a deep draft. I could see any of those first round wide receivers being disgusting this year. What do you think? Who do you think?
So it's so early, so this is why this is more of a fun question. But I think if Tua gets reps and not just like 3 games or any bullshit like that, like if he plays this coming season, he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
No. He plays for Miami still. You're forgetting that. He still plays for Miami, and he's still the most injury-prone player in.
I think there's something about – I know, totally. And it obviously is contingent upon if he actually plays like substantially. They're not going to give it to him if he plays fucking 3 games or limited reps and if he stays healthy. But in a way, Tua has that like –
well, it's kind of like playing with house money. Like they don't expect him. First of all, they don't expect him to be healthy. They don't expect him to bring Miami to be great. So like if he has a pretty solid year number wise and I guess wins and stuff in the division, but he could like kind of get that under almost his value goes up because they're not expecting it to him.
Yeah, no.
Especially
And
this year.
Right. And kind of like how you said about CeeDee Lamb being in Dallas, and if Dallas is good, everyone on Dallas's roster kind of gets bumped up a level just because they're America's team.
Yeah,
But I think there's a comparative sense with Tua that the media fucking loves Tua to the point that if he does
they,
anything remotely above average, they're gonna make it glorified to be like, oh, he's the next coming of Christ. Like he has that aura, I think, above any offensive player in this draft, that if he does well, they're going to make a maybe like B minus season seem like an A minus just because it's Tua.
oh yeah, no, I agree with that. But I mean, I'm excited for him to throw a lot of completions to Trey White this year, so it'll be fun.
Facts, dude. I can't wait till Jamal Adams comes from the blind side and just wrecks his ass.
I see. I love Tua as a player, but you can't play for Miami. Screw that. So
So another weapon that left the AFC East during all this draft talk. It was kind of quiet, but quiet at once draft came. It was obviously made splashes, but Gronk joining joining Brady in Tampa.
so
I'll give my immediate reaction before I toss it to you, but that was just house money. It was literally
yeah.
he's a retired player. And I kind of knew that there was going to be a day that he would come back, and Gronk just terrorizing the Jets for years since 2010 has been just nauseating. So the fact that he was like, you know what, I want to come back for anybody but you. I'm leaving New England. I'm going down to Tampa. It was cool to see because I'm from a person perspective, I love Gronk.
Same.
So to see him back in the
You're
game,
a pro Gronk podcast.
we are totally a pro Gronk.
You cannot be.
But how do you think he's gonna fit? And I think he lost a shit ton of weight, dude. Like
Yeah.
he lost a lot of his power and strength. Do you think that he actually has some like legitimate gas in the tank?
So the thing is, like, he's obviously been retired for like a year now, but like it's not like he's been doing nothing. The dude's been training and a little different, obviously, not for football because he's lost a ton of weight. That's what he's been doing, is getting in shape that way. But I don't think you're gonna hurt to give Gronk a few extra cheeseburgers and tell him to get some more pounds on there.
Yeah, he won't say no to overeating.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you know, I'm just so pumped to see Tom and Gronk back together, not in New England, because like you said, he's terrorized that division. Both of them have, and Gronk, Gronk being from Buffalo, I'm pretty sure, I gotta look this up to double check, but he's some of his best stats ever are against the Bills, and he's just destroyed them. So I'm glad that I don't have to see him as a Bills fan, and I love Gronk, so it's just going to be cool to see him playing again, him back with Tom, him and his just shenanigans they're already up to. That video Brady posted with the call, and then Gronk running was incredible.
Yeah, I think that there's a legitimate case. I think you bring up good points. I think there is cause for a bit of concern to like, let's temper our expectations a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he hasn't played in a year, and he's underweight, and he's got two other tight ends that are solid there.
Right, but I do think that there's a legitimate factor to playing with your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
When you are a dynamic duo with someone that you trust with your life, and you've already experienced so much success,
yeah,
you can elevate yourself and collectively elevate your success to a point that, like, if you were just individual or with another supporting cast, you wouldn't even come close to. So I do think that there's a true possibility that Gronk can get back to like 80% of what he was. And
which is still incredible.
Oh, if he could show that he's 80% of what he was, he's still like a top 6 tight end easily.
Easy, yeah. That's the best part. If Gronk is back to who he is, it's gonna be electric. That's gonna be. See, the thing about football that's different, like you see, like in the NBA, you see guys join up all the time that were like former teammates or stars, and that changes an entire team. Like when you have LeBron join D-Wade, Bosch in Miami, that's a whole different team. when you have Gronk join Brady and they're 2 positions out of 11 on the field, how much does it change? I really hope that they become like a good, fun team to watch, but I really think that, expectations need to be tempered because you still have all these guys that you need to worry about, especially for Brady, an offensive line for a guy that is not mobile. So, and is
Yeah.
only getting older. So
It was cool to see that though. Shout out to Gronk. We are totally
legend.
Gronk.
He was teasing us for an entire year. He kept joking on every podcast he was on, like, "Oh, I'm gonna come
I'm
back
done.
for
I'm
just
done.
the playoffs, or I'll come back this, whatever." And then
Yeah.
out of nowhere, they're like, "Yeah, Gronk wants to come back and play with Tom." And everyone was joking about it before. Everyone's like, "Oh," when Brady left, they're like, "Oh, Gronk's gonna join him," and everyone's like, "Ah, good joke." 2 months later, he does. It's just incredible.
Unreal. So
Yeah.
let's shift to this, dude. What was incredible was seeing kind of those episodes 3 and 4. So we had the second weekend of installments of the MJ documentary, The Last Dance on ESPN.
Yes.
This one was mainly around Dennis Rodman's shenanigans and just how it was as a teammate and just being a part of his lifestyle in episode 3. And then episode 4, a lot of the bad boy Pistons and how the Bulls kind of went from not being able to get out of the Eastern Conference to finally getting past those Pistons teams and those Celtics teams, and really started to go on their tear that they did. But first impressions from the MJ doc last night, what do you think of it?
It was great. The first 2 episodes were really good. I loved them, but I think this is the stuff that I love, like watching Dennis Rodman be. I loved when they went back to him and you could see old videos and pictures of him back like
Oh, it was the
in
best.
college and even before that. And he was like this. He was kind of scrawny. He was little, like real thin and tall. And I mean, it was cool to go back and see him. How his career went when he was with Detroit and then going to San Antonio. But I think what we're going to talk about. The most legendary part of the doc already is that Vegas vacation. And
Unbelievable.
I wish there was an entire episode on that weekend.
Oh my God, they could make a whole 10-part series about
They could. It was incredible. Oh my God.
Now, the one thing that I take away from watching that, we could go down so many rabbit holes of just Dennis Rodman as a dude, but how do you think? So you saw it was a different time then. So how do you think Dennis Rodman would survive with his persona and the way he acted and treated being a professional athlete, kind of so nonchalantly in some
Yeah.
regard? Like he worked hard when he was on the court, but he really took advantage of having that fame and having the money to just be like, I'm going to go fuck
Partying and
off
doing whatever. Yeah.
and go to Vegas.
Well,
Partly it was the fact that Phil and MJ were like, you know what, dude, we know that when you're here and you're invested, you're the best at what you do. And we understand that you need a break sometimes. So we're going to give you that break.
they just give him a break. Like it's
Personally, there's no fucking chance that would happen in this day and age.
No.
How do you think Dennis would survive in this day and age?
So I have one comparison, and don't laugh because it's not about skill or their ability in their sport. It is about their personality and where they ended up. Johnny Manziel was a partier in college and everything, and the Vegas trip just reminded me of when Johnny left the team and went to Vegas and put on the different hair and the glasses, and he was Billy. You remember that back when he was with Browns?
Oh, yes.
It was like during a bye week, and he just left and went to Vegas party, but they didn't want him to. He didn't want anyone to know he was there, so he like literally had a disguise, and he was Billy Football.
Yeah.
Basically, he was the original Billy Football. But yeah, no. Think of like someone like that. Obviously, if he was more talented and have more of a potential, it'd be a little different. But like someone like that just gets thrown aside so quick because you make 1-2 mistakes and you're done. And I think that Rodman obviously has in his sport and his craft, he's just an incredible specimen when it comes to just being that body and physicality, rebounding, everything. that I think that he would get a more of a leeway in this modern age, but like that stuff would not fly. No team would ever let you leave the team in the middle of a
Not
season
at all, right?
when they
No,
know who you are and they know you're going right to Vegas to just go.
totally. And I think Dennis he's such a unique breed that I think that if he wasn't afforded that, yeah, go take a 48-hour break, like go take your break. If he wasn't given that, he would have folded. He would have crumbled
I
and
actually agree with
gotten
that a lot.
overwhelmed. So I do think that in this day and age, no fucking chance. But hearing him talk, and we'll get to your viral moment last night because you actually scored some success while watching this on your own personal brand. But hearing him talk about like the art of rebounding
Oh,
and
for
how
the guy that you don't think is very smart, he's got something in there.
oh my gosh, dude, like totally like vividly talking about how Larry Bird's shot would go this way and MJ's would come this way and on and on. It was like I know I played basketball
Mhm.
and like rebounding and defense, that was kind of just shit that I didn't care about and like I didn't think about. And it was just whatever. If a rebound came to me or in my vicinity, I would try to get it. If I didn't, fuck it, we're moving on. But like I'm going to study the science behind it.
Of where every player misses his shots.
I thought that was
Crazy.
it shows how brilliant he is and why he's should be considered one of the best at what he did. But like to hear about a guy like typically you're hearing about guys, my crossover, my jump shot, like my dunking ability, this and that on the offensive side. He was just like, no, like I fucking loved rebounding.
Yeah.
It was just
I
cool to
love
see.
jumping up and grabbing a ball. That's it.
Right.
But
No, it was it was awesome. But so in his description of kind of getting those rebounds, Bird would go this way, MJ would come this way, Barkley would come this way. He had a funny video as he was describing that.
yeah,
Uh,
it was like click that way, click that way.
I'll let you and with that piece of video on your Twitter, shout out your Twitter, you kind of went viral, dude. Like I think it's over 500 retweets, over 2,000 likes right now. Like you're
Yeah.
doing well. Um, talk about what went through because in your own way, we're in this social media sports world, and we have our own personal brand. So you executed well on a fun moment that you saw. Kind of take us through what you were thinking in that moment and what you thought would have worked and it ended up did working.
Yeah, I mean, we're in here in quarantine. I got no full-time job. We're doing these kind of things. We're trying to enjoy it. So, I mean, I saw that and I was like, right away, I was sitting with my dad. My mom was over in the kitchen because I'm at my parents' house right now, just spending the time here before I go back to New York. And we were watching it, and I'm just like, this is hilarious because he keeps saying like click, click. So I'm like, sounds like he's like trying to explain like something on a computer, and then like my head I was like, what is this, what does this remind you of? And I'm like, oh my god, this is like, because I was talking to my dad about this a few days ago at dinner. I'm like, this is like me trying to explain like one of Charlie's TikTok dances to my dad basically. So I'm like, so I go and find the first video I can find. Someone actually tweeted a tweet with the video, but it wasn't their video, so I just shared the video, how you can do on Twitter now. And I was just like, this is like me explaining TikTok dances to my parents.
I
And
thought it was brilliant
it was,
because
I mean, I was dying laughing when I tweeted it, and I was like, okay, this is just fun. And then I put my phone down at the end of the episode. I'm like, oh my god,
blew
like,
up. No, I mean,
like everyone's hitting it up.
I thought you executed it well, dude. It's like in those moments when something happens that you identify as like funny, you have to be as like uh like relatable as possible. And nothing is more relatable than TikTok. Even if you don't use it yourself, TikTok is what's popping right now. So the fact that you brought it into your tweet was brilliant, and that's why I think that's why large reason why it popped off. So props to you, good sir, for going viral.
We got
Uh,
3,200 likes,
the
630
next
retweets. I mean,
next
I spend half my life on TikTok watching stupid things anyways. So,
it
why
was
not?
only right that you had to
It's
put
only
it in.
right.
Shout out to Dennis Rodman, man.
Shout out Dennis Rodman. Imagine. Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Oh my-
Yeah, so I think I kind of agree with one of your first statements. Episodes 1 and 2, the first weekend, was also very entertaining, but
It
it
was
was
also new too. Like it was us
yeah,
interacting
but
with.
in a way, it was kind of like an introduction to us, like getting our feet wet with what to be expected these next 4 weekends off of that. But I really thought that this installment took it to another level,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to next week. I saw the teaser and the fact that
I saw
they
Kobe
bring,
was gonna be in it.
yeah, the fact that they bring Kobe into
Shout out.
it. Shout out! It's good stuff that you're wearing it. RIP to the legend, but I'm excited for it to keep going. What are some things that maybe you're looking forward to continuing to see in the third weekend as we get ready for it?
So before I get into that, I have to mention how savage everyone was on these episodes. Not only them watching like different statements and different things on their iPads and phones was pretty funny, but
Right.
oh my God, when they're going, okay, first of all, as a Cavs fan, I was too young to really witness this, but when they're going over the shot, I'm like, oh God, here we go. I remember I tweeted, here it comes.
Right.
And I just see they're talking and Ron Harper goes, okay, whatever, book this bullshit. Like talking about them putting Elo on Jordan. And
Right.
it's just hilarious because like, what if they didn't? Imagine if he was on Jordan, I mean,
Who
Elo,
knows?
Elo gave him 10 feet of space to hit that shot. but
Unbelievable.
but the way that they were just savages, and Michael was just still hates Isaiah Thomas, which is wonderful.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and when they're going over like all the MJ rules, and then they go over that series, and they go they go to Horace Grant after what were they talking? They were talking about how they didn't shake their hands, right?
Right.
Yeah, they didn't shake their hands, which was kind of a scummy move. And then they go to Horace Grant now, and he's like, straight up bitches. And I
Yep.
died. I'm like, this is incredible.
But it made. I agree. It's so funny, so dope to see, and it's just hilarious. But like the fact that Horace Grant saying that, Ron Harper just totally shit talking his teammate, MJ just you could
You
feel
could feel the hate in MJ,
his
like,
blood boils
like yeah,
about Isaiah Thomas, and like
and that whole team.
those interviews and like the fact that they don't bleep anything out, like it's so raw and so
Yeah,
true.
don't watch ESPN2 version.
I know,
Don't do it.
right?
Don't do
No
it. You're missing
censorship.
everything.
I turn it up when they swear.
Oh, great, wonderful.
But
Get me going.
yeah, it really like it makes this documentary so impactful. Like the fact that Isaiah Thomas and MJ, it's like, and then Isaiah Thomas this morning on Get Up and all these shows, like doubling down on why what they did was like okay.
Mhm.
It's still such a big deal to them.
It's crazy that they're so passionate about it. Like normally you see a doc and it's just like, okay, I'm telling my story, whatever. But like MJ is so into it, and he never is. And
Yeah.
everyone is into the whole story, and it's I love it.
Oh, it's so dope.
And I love how many random people they're getting in this. Like some people obviously like are important to the story, but they're just like getting so many different people talking like presently
Right.
about it.
Yeah, a lot of different people coming.
I hope LeBron makes some kind of entrance towards the end.
Oh my God.
He's got it right.
Whether I
Talks
don't,
about
I
like
don't
him
know.
growing up, like idolizing Jordan or something.
I, all I know is that I don't know if he's going to make an appearance in this doc.
He's
All
gonna
I
have his
know
own.
is his documentary is going to be fucking wild. Like, and the cool thing that I can't
And they have
wait.
so much footage now.
That's the thing, dude.
You
It's
don't
like
need a whole year with him like they did.
like
They already got
they're
that
gonna
for a year.
pull his 2003 summer league highlights, and like the fact that media and production has improved so drastically throughout his
It's not
career.
gonna be as many look backs to pictures and stuff. Like they'll
Right.
have his high school stuff. They'll have
And like
all that.
grainy footage that's like really shot. It's like there's gonna be some of that, but like it's gonna be just
So modern.
immaculate looking shit. I can't wait for
Can't
that.
I'm that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna direct that.
That'll be your claim to fame.
Oh God, yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I mean, what are you looking forward to like this coming week? I know I just saw the NBA is trying to open up some
yeah.
facilities in the next coming week or week and a half, but um, as we kind of start our week and go through these days, like what are you going to be kind of focused on getting into? What are you looking at?
Same old right now. I mean, it's good to see that NBA is trying to get back. It looks like NHL as well. And it's really just so up in the air because different states are impacted by this whole thing differently, obviously. So they're
Right.
trying to figure out the best way. And I'm trying to take all this news as, take it with like a grain of salt because you really, some of this could happen. Like they could say, oh, they're not playing till this day and they come back earlier, or it could be the complete opposite. They never play. So I'm just waiting until things officially happen because I don't know. Like I don't know about you, but through this whole thing, I just there's so much negativity online. It's just unreal, and I'm trying to like get away from that. Like if you see any Woj tweets or anyone tweeting about things coming back, look at the replies if you want a bad day because it's just people negative, like never happening. Never, these people are
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like I'm not gonna state my point because I'm not a politic. Like I don't like politics because of that because I
Right.
don't know what I'm talking about and I'm not going to voice my opinion if I don't know what I'm talking about. But like just the negativity online, I'm trying to get away from that and hope for some positivity this week.
No,
So
I think that's a very good answer, and I think it's true. It's like, dude, there's so many guys that like think they know what they're talking about, but like even our fucking government doesn't know what a week from now will look
no,
like.
no one does. It's
So
unprecedented. Like don't act like you know everything if you're a random burner on Twitter or even some of these reports that you're seeing that are just clickbait and like either
no,
either either
substantial.
they're complete guesses or they say a headline, you click in and there's like fine print and you're like, okay.
Yeah, literally. No,
It's
so I think I'm the same way. I'm gonna look forward to hopefully learning more about the Jets draft picks. I think this week the NFL teams will do a good job of like highlighting more
yeah,
specific each guy. And then looking forward to jumping back on here next week to talk about the next like installments of that MJ doc because I think they're getting better by the second that they air. So
yeah,
um,
they are.
that's going to be cool. But I think as we kind of wind this down, last thing I want to say is shout out to all you guys. Like, um, we literally had one random podcast that we started last week. You and I wanted to do this as just kind of like a hobby and we like talking. But the
Yep.
fact that we have the numbers that we saw, like over 25 people came in to listen to us on the one platform that we're live on. It's like, I appreciate, and I know you do too. It's like you guys riding with us. And I think we're going to be getting better by the week and we're going to continue to evolve ourselves. And then we want to start getting guests on.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that we'll tap into, but I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, same. And I know that now that we've kind of got this rolling, it's time to like get some guests on coming up, which will hit some of you guys up that we know that will be helpful. And just once sports comes back, it's going to be much more to talk about, which is great. So, I'm hoping for it soon. I'm sick of watching the 2016 Cavs run over and over, and I'm sick of watching, old games. So I'm ready.
Yep.
I've only watched last year's Masters final round 3 times so far, so that's okay. But I have watched Game 7 of the Cavs championship at least 10 times. So I'm like,
You're only going a little bit insane.
I can't. I mean, and it's not even that long ago, but it still feels like it's like stale because I've seen it so many times. I've only cried so many times over the Cavs winning the title. Like, it can't be anymore.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, but it's the same for me, man. I'm desperately needing live sports, but the fact that we had the NFL draft, it brought some
It
sort
was
of
great to see something back. I could
yep.
gamble on something, which was amazing.
Shout
And,
out to
anyone
Henry
knows anything about esports, let me know. I'm looking for
Yeah.
something to gamble on that I'm not clueless about.
Nah, but I had fun, man. Another episode down. I thought it was good. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we brought to you guys. And if you have any thoughts, Talking Sports A to Z on Twitter.
Talking Sports AZ on Twitter and Instagram. And then, in our bio, we have our link to Spotify. We're waiting for Apple to accept it because it takes a little while. So once that's up, we'll put that on there. But, we're available pretty much everywhere except for Apple Podcasts right now. Hopefully by the time this is done, it'll be up on Apple Podcasts. So we'll see.
Right on, man. Well, if that's it for you, that's it for me.
I'm good. Have a good week. Happy Monday, aka Tuesday for everyone listening.
Yep. All right, man. Thanks for listening. Peace.